First contact gone wrong. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood at the window of the United Earth diplomatic vessel Horizon, watching the massive Kari warship emerge from hyperspace. Its crystalline surface caught the light of the distant sun, refracting it in mesmerizing patterns. Beautiful, but unmistakably built for war. "They're hailing us," Lieutenant Rodriguez announced from his communication station. "The Kari High Commander requests immediate audience." Chen straightened her formal diplomatic uniform. After 6 months of delicate negotiations via quantum communications, this was humanity's first face-to-face meeting with the Kari Empire. Everything had to be perfect. "Accept the transmission," she commanded, turning to face the holographic projection area. The air shimmered, and a tall, angular figure materialized. The Kari High Commander's iridescent scales shifted colors as it moved, a biological display that humans were still learning to interpret. "Ambassador Chen," the alien's voice resonated through the translator. "Your species continues to perplex us. We offered you the greatest honor, absorption into the Kari Empire. Yet you insist on maintaining your independence." Chen maintained her diplomatic smile. "High Commander, we appreciate the offer, but as I've explained, humanity values its autonomy. We seek alliance, not absorption. Our species has much to offer as equal partners." The Kari's scales flashed crimson, a warning sign. "Equal? Your species barely achieved faster than light travel a decade ago. You have no quantum weaponry. Your artificial intelligence is primitive. What equality could you possibly offer?" "Innovation," Chen replied firmly. "Adaptability. Creativity. Our species thrives on challenge and change. We've solved problems your empire's been struggling with for centuries, simply because we approach them differently." A High Commander's translator couldn't fully capture the contempt in its response. "You speak of chaos as if it were a virtue. The empire brings order, structure, perfection. Your resistance to this gift is irrational." Chen felt the situation slipping away. 6 months of careful diplomacy was unraveling before her eyes. "High Commander, please, we can demonstrate the value of our approach. Allow us to show you." "We have seen enough," the Kari interrupted. "Your species requires correction. The Empire will provide it." The hologram vanished. Chen's blood ran cold as she watched the Kari warship's weapon ports begin to glow. "They're charging weapons," Rodriguez shouted. "Multiple targeting locks." Chen slammed the ship-wide comm. "All hands, battle stations. This is not a drill." She turned to her first officer. "Send the emergency burst transmission to Earth. Code Black. First contact protocol has failed." The Horizon's engines roared to life as it executed emergency evasive maneuvers. The first Kari energy blast missed by meters, superheating the hull plating. "Return fire," the weapons officer asked, fingers hovering over the controls. Chen shook her head. "No. We're a diplomatic vessel. We run. Get us to the jump point." She watched the massive Kari ship growing larger on the view screen. "And God help us all." The Horizon accelerated hard, its human crew fighting against crushing forces as the ship pushed its engines beyond safety limits. The Kari vessel pursued, methodically firing blast after blast. "Jump point in 30 seconds, the navigator called out. Chen gripped her chair as another near miss rocked the ship. "They're toying with us," she realized. "They could have destroyed us already. They're sending a message. Jump in 5, 4, 3. The universe stretched and twisted as the Horizon tore its way into hyperspace. They'd survived, but Chen knew this was just the beginning. Humanity's first interstellar war was about to begin, and they were hopelessly outgunned. But as she looked around at her crew, engineers already running damage assessments, tactical officers analyzing the Kari weapon signatures, communications teams preparing their report for Earth's Defense Council, she saw not defeat, but determination. The Kari thought humanity's adaptability was a weakness. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. Send a priority message to all human colonies and outposts, she ordered. Tell them to prepare for war. But also tell them this. The Kari think they know what humanity is capable of. They think they can predict us, control us, force us into their perfect order. They're about to learn that humanity's greatest strength is that we're anything but predictable. As the Horizon raced through hyperspace toward Earth, Chen began drafting her report to the Defense Council. The Kari Empire was about to learn a lesson that countless others throughout human history had learned the hard way. When pushed to the edge, humans don't break. They adapt. They improvise. They overcome. The edge of extinction. General Marcus Wright stood in Earth's primary defense command center, watching as red warning icons multiplied across the holographic display. The Kari invasion fleet had just appeared at the edge of the solar system, their crystalline ships glinting like deadly stars against the void. "Time to intercept," he asked, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. 3 hours until they reach Mars' defense perimeter, Colonel Jessica Hayes reported. Their fleet is massive, sir. Initial count shows over 300 capital ships. Wright nodded grimly. Earth's entire space fleet numbered barely 50 vessels, but they had spent the last month since the Horizon incident preparing, and humanity had a few tricks up its sleeve. Status of Operation Chameleon. Hayes pulled up a secondary display. All civilian ships have been retrofitted with the holographic masking systems. The Kari won't be able to distinguish our military vessels from civilian traffic until it's too late. It was a desperate gambit, breaking every convention of warfare. But against an enemy that demanded perfect order, chaos would be their greatest weapon. And the quantum disruptors. Ready for deployment. Dr. Chen's team reversed engineered enough of the Kari technology from the Horizon's sensor data to create a countermeasure. It won't stop their weapons entirely, but it should reduce their effectiveness by 60%. Wright allowed himself a small smile. In just 1 month, humanity had done what the Kari probably thought impossible, adapted their own technology against them. The aliens' rigid adherence to established patterns had made their systems predictable, once you knew where to look. "Sir," a junior officer called out, "priority transmission from Luna Base. They've detected anomalous readings. The Kari fleet just launched something. Thousands of small objects accelerating toward Earth." Wright's blood ran cold. Analysis. They appear to be some kind of automated drone. At current velocity, they'll reach Earth in 15 minutes. This wasn't in any of their predictions. The Kari were supposed to be methodical, traditional. This was something new. "All stations, this is General Wright. Execute Emergency Protocol Delta. I repeat, Emergency Protocol Delta." Klaxons blared throughout every military installation on Earth and its colonies. Within seconds, massive electromagnetic shields sprang to life over major cities, powered by the fusion reactors that humanity had perfected just 3 years ago. "Sir, the drones, they're not slowing down. Impact velocity will be catastrophic." Wright watched as the swarm of alien devices streaked toward Earth like a deadly meteor shower. But something wasn't right. The Kari were methodical to a fault. This seemed wasteful. "Run a full spectrum analysis on those drones. Something's not adding up." Hayes' fingers flew over her console. "Sir, they're not weapons. They're transmitting something. Massive data streams." Understanding dawned. It's a hack attempt. They're trying to overwhelm our systems with data, shut down our defenses before the main assault. Wright grabbed the command comm. "All stations, initiate quantum isolation protocols. Shut down all non-essential networks. Switch to hardened backups." The Kari drones slammed into Earth's atmosphere, many burning up on entry. Those that made it through found their signals bouncing harmlessly off isolated systems and analog backups. Humanity had learned from its own cyber warfare history. Sometimes the oldest solutions were the best ones. "Drone attack neutralized," Hayes reported. "Minimal impact to defensive capabilities. But, sir, The main fleet has accelerated. They'll reach Mars in 30 minutes. Wright nodded. The failed cyber attack would have thrown off the Kari's carefully planned timetable. They would be forced to adapt, something they were notoriously bad at doing. Signal the Mars Defense Fleet. Tell them to proceed with Operation Scatter, and get me a direct line to the civilian mining operations in the asteroid belt. Sir, the Kari want order. Let's see how they handle a few thousand redirected asteroids in their flight path. Sometimes the best defense is turning your entire solar system into a weapon. As orders went out across the solar system, Wright watched the holographic display transform. Civilian ships began moving in seemingly random patterns, masking the movements of military vessels. Mining charges detonated throughout the asteroid belt, sending chunks of rock and metal on carefully calculated trajectories. And beneath the surface of Mars, electromagnetic railguns the size of mountains powered up, preparing to unleash devastation at speeds the Kari's perfect formations couldn't possibly evade. Sir, Hayes said quietly, even with all this, the odds are still against us. Wright turned to face his command staff, seeing the same mix of fear and determination in their eyes that he felt in his heart. The odds are always against us, Colonel. Humanity faced extinction during the Ice Age, with nothing but stone tools and determination. We survived plague, famine, world wars, and our own near destruction of Earth's climate. We clawed our way into space using controlled explosions and mathematics. The Kari think their superior technology and perfect order make them unstoppable. But they're about to learn what every force that's tried to destroy humanity has learned. We're our most dangerous when we're fighting for survival. The first asteroids began impacting the Kari fleet, forcing their perfect formation into chaos. The battle for Earth was about to begin, and humanity was ready to show the galaxy why you should never corner a species that had turned survival into an art form. Operation Wildcard. Captain Maya Patel stood in the cramped bridge of her ship, the Wraith, watching the massive Kari supply fleet through specialized sensors. After 3 months of brutal warfare, humanity had discovered that their greatest advantage wasn't technology or numbers. It was unpredictability. Status of the Ghost Fleet, she whispered, though the Kari couldn't possibly hear them through the void of space. Lieutenant James Cooper checked his readings. All 30 ships in position, Captain. Running silent with minimal power signatures. The Kari still think we're asteroid debris. The Ghost Fleet was humanity's latest innovation. Civilian mining ships retrofitted with experimental stealth technology and weapons cobbled together from salvage Kari tech. They weren't pretty, but they didn't need to be. They just needed to work once. Status of the quantum fold signatures. Holding stable, Cooper reported. Dr. Chen's calculations were right. The Kari's own supply ships are masking our energy readings. They'll never see us coming. Patel allowed herself a grim smile. Sarah Chen had gone from ambassador to chief of xenotechnology in 3 months, turning her diplomatic knowledge of the Kari against them. The aliens' rigid adherence to protocol had become their greatest weakness. All ships, this is Captain Patel. Execute Operation Wildcard on my mark. She took a deep breath. 3, 2, 1, mark. 30 human ships suddenly burst to life, their engines igniting in a carefully choreographed sequence. But instead of attacking directly, they began moving in seemingly random patterns, their trajectories making no tactical sense. The Kari response was immediate and predictable. Their defensive ships moved to protect the supply fleet in a perfect geometric formation, exactly as their tactical doctrine demanded. Phase 2, Patel ordered. Release the drones. Hundreds of small objects launched from the human ships. But these weren't ordinary weapons. They were reprogrammed Kari maintenance drones, captured in previous battles and modified by Earth's best hackers. The Kari defenses ignored them completely. Their protocols classified maintenance drones as non-threats. It was exactly what humanity had counted on. They're through the outer defense screen, Cooper reported, excitement creeping into his voice. Moving into position. Now. The drones activated their stolen Kari transponders, broadcasting authentication codes that were months out of date. But it didn't matter. The supply ship's automated systems recognized them as friendly units and allowed them to dock. Phase 3, Patel commanded. Light them up. The drones simultaneously activated their real payload, quantum disruption fields that played havoc with Kari technology. Supply ships began losing power, their crystal-based computers unable to handle the chaos being introduced into their systems. Kari defensive fleet is breaking formation, Cooper announced. They're trying to respond, but their command structure is compromised. The supply ships are broadcasting conflicting orders. Patel keyed the fleet-wide channel. All ships, execute attack pattern Delta. Remember, we're not here to destroy them. We're here to steal everything that isn't bolted down, and some things that are. The Ghost Fleet swooped in, their improvised weapons targeting specific systems that would disable but not destroy the Kari vessels. Boarding teams were ready, trained to navigate Kari ship layouts that never varied thanks to their species' love of standardization. "Sir," Cooper called out, reading multiple quantum fold signatures. "Kari reinforcements incoming." "Right on schedule," Patel replied calmly. "Signal the Artemis. Tell Admiral Wright his part of the show is about to begin." As if on cue, space itself seemed to tear open as humanity's first quantum battleship emerged from its experimental fold drive. The Artemis was ugly by Kari standards, a hodgepodge of human and stolen alien technology that looked more like a floating junkyard than a warship, but its appearance belied its true nature. The arriving Kari reinforcements fell into their standard attack formation, preparing to engage the new threat. They never saw the quantum mines the human stealth ships had seeded throughout the area days earlier. Detonation in 3, 2, 1. The space around the Kari fleet erupted in controlled quantum explosions, not powerful enough to destroy their ships, but more than sufficient to disrupt their sensitive crystalline technology. "All teams, begin boarding operations," Patel ordered. "Priority targets are quantum cores, weapon systems, and their tactical databases. Strip them clean." The next hour was organized chaos as human boarding teams stormed the disabled Kari vessels. The aliens fought back, but they were overwhelmed by humanity's unconventional tactics. Teams used magnetic grapples to swing between ships, improvised breaching charges to create new entrances, and even reprogrammed service robots to fight alongside them. "Status report," Patel demanded as the operation entered its final phase. 80% of primary targets secured," Cooper replied. "Quantum cores extracted from 12 ships, weapon systems from 18. Data cores from all of them. The Kari never even considered we might steal their tactical databases." Patel nodded, because in their entire history, no species has ever dared to board a Kari vessel. Their doctrine doesn't even have protocols for this situation. She checked the mission clock. "Time to wrap this up. Signal all teams to begin withdrawal. Let's get our prizes home." As the Ghost Fleet retreated with their stolen technology, Patel watched the Kari ships drift helplessly. Earth scientists would reverse engineer every piece of captured tech, finding new ways to combine it with human innovation. The Kari's greatest strength, their technological superiority, was about to become their weakness. "Set course for Earth," she ordered, "and send a message to command. Tell them Operation Wildcard was a success, and that humanity is about to level the playing field." The hidden advantage. Dr. Sarah Chen stood before the United Earth Defense Council, her holographic presentation showing detailed scans of Kari neural patterns. After 6 months of war, humanity had finally found their enemy's true weakness. "The Kari aren't just orderly by choice," she explained, highlighting specific areas of their alien brain structure. "They're physically incapable of handling chaos. Their neural architecture requires patterns, predictability, and structure to function. Without it, they experience something akin to extreme vertigo in humans." Admiral Wright leaned forward, his weathered face showing intense interest. And you discovered this by studying the prisoners from Operation Wildcard. Yes. When we exposed them to randomized sensor inputs, their entire nervous system began to shut down. It's not just psychological, it's physiological. Their entire civilization is built around perfect order because they literally cannot survive without it. The council chamber erupted in murmured discussions. This was the advantage they'd been looking for, the key to turning the tide of a war that had already cost humanity millions of lives. We've already begun incorporating this knowledge into our defense systems, Chen continued, switching to a tactical display. The quantum disruptors we captured have been modified to target their neural frequencies. We don't need to destroy their ships. We just need to make them unable to function. Council President Martinez raised her hand. What about their civilian populations? This sounds dangerously close to biological warfare. Chen nodded grimly. We've considered that. The effects are temporary and non-lethal. Our goal isn't to harm their civilians, but to demonstrate that their way of life, their need to impose perfect order on everything and everyone, isn't sustainable. How soon can we implement this strategy? Wright asked. The first modified quantum disruptors are ready for deployment, but I have a more ambitious proposal. Chen pulled up schematics of a massive device. This is Project Chaos Theory, a quantum field generator capable of creating localized areas of pure randomness. Not just electromagnetic chaos, but quantum uncertainty on a massive scale. The council members studied the schematics with a mixture of awe and concern. The device would affect everything within its range. Gravity, electromagnetic fields, even the fundamental forces holding matter together. To the Kari, it would be like being trapped in a nightmare where nothing made sense. The Kari would have no choice but to retreat from affected sectors, Chen explained. Their ships, their weapons, even their own bodies can't function in that level of chaos. And the best part, human physiology is remarkably adaptable. Our brains actually thrive on a certain level of randomness. Wright stood up. How many of these devices can we build? With the quantum cores we stole, enough to create a defensive screen around every human colony. The Kari won't be able to approach without experiencing complete neural shutdown. President Martinez called for a vote. The decision was unanimous. Project Chaos Theory would proceed immediately. 3 weeks later, Captain Maya Patel stood on the bridge of the Wraith, watching the first test of the quantum chaos generator. The device was small, barely the size of a shuttle, but its effects were visible even from a safe distance. Space itself seemed to ripple and twist, reality becoming fluid and unpredictable. Kari test ship approaching the field perimeter, her tactical officer reported. They're maintaining standard attack formation. The alien vessel, sleek and crystalline, moved with its usual precision toward the affected zone. The moment it crossed the boundary, chaos erupted. The ship's perfect formation began to wobble, its crystalline structure unable to maintain coherence in the face of quantum uncertainty. We're receiving transmissions from the Kari vessel, communications reported. They're screaming. Patel felt a moment of pity for the alien crew. To them, this must be like sailing into a hurricane of pure madness. But she reminded herself of the billions of humans who would have been enslaved or killed if the Kari had succeeded in their conquest. Signal command, she ordered. Tell them Project Chaos Theory is a success, and send a message to the Kari High Command. Tell them this is just the beginning. The test ship retreated, its crew presumably traumatized by their brief exposure to chaos. But Patel knew this was more than just a tactical victory. This was proof that humanity's greatest perceived weakness, their unpredictability, their embrace of chaos and change, was actually their greatest strength. As she watched the Kari vessel flee, Patel couldn't help but smile. The aliens had sought to impose their perfect order on humanity. Instead, they were about to learn that sometimes the only way to survive in an unpredictable universe was to embrace the chaos. Victory through ingenuity. The massive holographic display in Earth's Defense Command showed thousands of Kari ships advancing toward the Sol system. This was it, the Empire's final push to crush humanity once and for all. But this time, Earth was ready. Admiral Marcus Wright stood before the combined fleet commanders, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. The Kari think this is their endgame. Their entire battle doctrine is based on overwhelming force applied with perfect precision. But thanks to Dr. Chen's discoveries, we know their fatal flaw. Today, we use that knowledge to end this war. The tactical display shifted, showing the positions of hundreds of quantum chaos generators hidden throughout the solar system. Each one was ready to create zones of pure randomness that would render Kari ships helpless. Signal from the Kari fleet, Lieutenant Cooper announced. Their High Commander is demanding our immediate surrender. Wright nodded to Dr. Chen, who stepped forward to activate the communication system. The holographic form of the Kari High Commander materialized, its crystalline scales reflecting light in perfect patterns. Your resistance ends today, the alien leader declared. You have demonstrated admirable adaptability, but order must prevail. The Empire cannot allow chaos to spread. Chen's response was calm but firm. High Commander, we've learned much about your species during this war. Your need for perfect order isn't just cultural, it's biological. You literally cannot function without it. But the universe isn't meant to be ordered. Chaos, change, adaptation. These are the fundamental forces that drive evolution itself. You speak of aberrations, the High Commander dismissed. The Empire brings perfection. Your fleet will be destroyed, your colonies absorbed, your chaos eliminated. No, Chen replied simply. We're going to show you why chaos will always triumph over rigid order. She nodded to Wright. Admiral, all ships, execute Operation Entropy, Wright commanded. Across the solar system, quantum chaos generators activated simultaneously. Space itself began to twist and ripple as zones of pure randomness expanded outward. The Kari fleet's perfect formation began to waver as their sensors encountered readings that defied their programmed parameters. Impossible, the High Commander's voice wavered for the first time. You cannot control chaos. It is a violation of natural law. We don't control it, Chen explained as human ships began moving through the chaos zones with practiced ease. We embrace it. We've learned to thrive in it. Your empire has spent millennia trying to impose order on the galaxy. We've spent our entire existence learning to adapt to disorder. The Kari fleet's formation was completely breaking down now. Their crystal ships, designed to operate in perfect harmony, couldn't maintain structural integrity in the quantum chaos fields. Crews were becoming incapacitated as their neural patterns failed to cope with the unpredictability. All ships, begin Phase 2, Wright ordered. Human vessels, modified with reverse-engineered Kari technology, began their attack. But instead of trying to destroy the alien ships, they targeted specific systems with quantum disruptors. One by one, the mighty vessels of the Kari Empire were reduced to drifting hulks, their crews unable to function in the chaos. Your weapons are crude, the High Commander insisted, though its voice was shaking. Your tactics primitive, your technology inferior. Maybe so, Chen agreed. But we understand something you don't. The most powerful force in the universe isn't order. It's adaptation. Every human ship out there is crewed by beings who grew up reading stories about impossible victories. We spent our childhood playing games that taught us to think creatively. Our entire culture celebrates those who break patterns and find new ways forward. The tactical display showed more and more Kari ships retreating or becoming disabled. The mighty empire that had threatened to crush humanity was being defeated not by superior firepower, but by their own inability to handle chaos. Last chance, High Commander, Wright offered. Withdraw your forces. End this war. Accept that there are some things in this universe that cannot, and should not, be controlled. For a long moment, the alien leader was silent. When it spoke again, there was something new in its voice, something that might have been understanding. Perhaps we have something to learn from chaos after all. The remaining Kari ships began to retreat, their perfect formations abandoned in favor of survival. As the alien fleet disappeared into quantum space, Chen turned to write. "Do you think they'll be back?" The admiral watched the tactical display clear of enemy signatures, not to conquer us, but maybe, someday, to learn from us. After all, isn't that what humanity does best? Take our greatest challenges and turn them into opportunities for growth. As celebration erupted throughout the command center, Wright couldn't help but smile. The Kari had come to impose their perfect order on humanity. Instead, they'd learned a lesson that humans had known all along. True strength isn't found in rigidity, but in the ability to embrace chaos and emerge stronger for it. Somewhere out in the galaxy, an empire built on perfect order was about to face its greatest challenge, learning to adapt. But humanity would be ready if they ever returned, not as conquerors, but as students eager to learn the art of chaos. The war was over, and in the end, humanity's greatest weakness had proven to be its greatest strength, the beautiful, unpredictable chaos of the human spirit.